All right, welcome back to Long Island's number one pro wrestling broadcast. Monte and the Pharaoh, only seen here at the Tin Mirror Studios in Kings Park, Long Island. On the other end from Florida, Jimmy, how are you, buddy?
It's a little chilly, but it's Florida. I'll live. What's
Jimmy,
going on, man?
we've got a really good show. We've got ECW legend Jason Knight that's going to be with us, and a few other subjects to cover. Before we get to our guest, though, Jimmy, I wanted to discuss with you what we discussed last week. TNA in an uproar over Tessa Blanchard returning to the spotlight. TNA agent wishes Tessa Blanchard to issue an apology. In 2020, Tessa Blanchard was subject to several allegations of bullying and racism, which included claims that she spat on La Rosa Negra before calling her a racial slur. However, La Rosa Negra shared a picture with Blanchard in 2023. Lance Storm, agent, wishes that Tessa Blanchard had issued an apology before joining TNA. Your thoughts, Jimmy?
So they bring her back, and now they're publicly saying they want an apology? I'm confused.
No, the agent is saying that maybe before she came back, she should have apologized.
The agent is saying?
Yeah.
Go on. Whatever.
That's it?
That's it. Mind you, whatever. It's Tessa Blanchard. I think it's the right move for the company. And if she's cool now with the people behind the scenes, which I don't have the answer to, obviously something amicably must have happened between TNA and Tessa Blanchard. I think it's good for wrestling. I think Tessa Blanchard was great in the ring. I don't know her as a person, and I don't care. I think she does her job great when she's in the ring. So am I glad she's coming back? Yeah, it'll probably do nothing but help TNA.
Jason, great yes. Jason Knight, welcome. What are your thoughts on Tessa Blanchard and TNA coming back?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Listen, I know I'm going to sound like a dick, but, I've not watched wrestling on TV for about 25 years.
Understood.
I mean, for real, I'm not trying to be a dick.
Oh, so you're normal.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
You know what I mean.
No, I re-educate myself.
Yeah.
After like Spears Sarion and Victory Rare, and Johnny Rods, and all those guys. No, I mean, I'm being funny, but honestly, I really haven't watched wrestling in about 25 years.
Well, take it out of wrestling then, Jason. Talk about a woman who is very highly popular, very publicized within an organization, but then she gets, in some cases, maybe cancel culture in today's society for maybe that something happened. Not saying it didn't happen, it did happen. I have no clue, only read whatever I read. What are your thoughts about that, about people being canceled out for maybe being accused of certain situations?
Wow, being accused. Oh my God, that's almost like assuming, making an ass of, how that goes. Accusations are, damn, they're so random, and most times, they mean actually nothing, and it's from people that are either fabricating something, or they feel in their own way, in their own lesser way, that something is hurting them. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It's almost like everybody, it's like these days, if you have a hangnail, oh my gosh, now we need to call the government because it's a conspiracy and the marshes are landing, that type of thing. But then again, we can't negate and disclose the fact that a lot of that could be legitimate. So the balance between what's legitimate and what is fabricated or in someone else's mind, because some people really truly believe that the sky's green, when it's blue. So it's so weird because it's like voting for your presidential candidate. It's just so I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think it's sometimes truth should be like shit because it would rise, but it's the other way around, and we'll never know the truth, until unless we were there, unless we.
Well, I also think money rules, right? So if Tessa Blanchard makes them money, that's all that really matters anyway,
yeah.
right?
Well, it's not about making money. I think it's about drawing money. Selling tickets and merchandising and all that. So
Sure.
I mean, yeah, business is business. It's always been,
Right.
people
Right.
that hated each other in the entertainment industry, whether it's wrestling or anything else, they can work together. You got some of the most passionate kisses in the films that we have watched and shedded a tear, and these people hated each other, but they were professionals, So, it's all, I don't know, it's all fucking work, So
yeah. Was that a Titanic reference, by the way? Because that's what I heard about the movie Titanic. They couldn't stand each other.
No, it's probably reference to a lot of other films, and
I'm sure.
And
I'm sure.
Our business matches, where partners don't really like each other, but they make it look like
If I can ask on the fly, you said you stopped watching wrestling completely 25 years ago, but you're still involved in wrestling. What made you stop watching wrestling at all? Something obviously must have turned you off about it.
I think it was my own thing where, after I left ECW and, then things were good for a while. I was running my own little company and, my schools and all that. And then, you're counting all the knives, in your back and like, who does this belong to? And, there's like dozens of them, So I kind of shied away from it. And then just different things, life happens where you almost get talked into or programmed into that nonsensical how can I complete nonsense, that it's too late now, there's time, is there really a time and a place, where you should retire or walk away? Well, I never retired, I never had a last match or whatever. So basically that was when everything kind of started flowing the other way. Which way, I don't know, but away from watching professional wrestling. And I'll be quite frank with you. Once it turned into what I see today in some of the feeds, I'm not a fan of it, because it's way too far out there. It's not professional wrestling anymore. I'm used to Dusty Rhodes and Dick Murdoch and Dick Slater and Terry Funk.
Wait a minute, Jason. Are you telling me that next week's guest you're not going to be a fan of? Cocaine? A wrestler gets beat up but then snorts cocaine and then wins the match? Come on, man. What are you talking about, brother?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah.
You're going to make him not watch for the next 25 years if you keep that up, Mike.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
No, Jason, it's funny you say that because you even see that in other sports, too. Once guys retire from baseball, they're not interested in watching anymore. Obviously, you're clear that you're used to the old school type of wrestling that you grew up on, and it's not the same. So I totally get it. First of all, I want to say thank you for joining the show. It's an honor to have you on. Never met you before. Jimmy and I saw you at the big event. And, dude, I got to tell you, you're almost our age. You're jacked to the gills, man. What are you doing to keep yourself in such great shape?
Yeah, I'm almost your age.
Yeah, we're 57, right? So what are you, 49, around there?
51.
You're 51. And you're in incredible shape, dude. How are you doing it?
I'm
what?
60.
He's 61, Mike. He looks better than we do.
Holy shit. I'm sorry, Jason. 61?
61.
Wow, man.
Turned 61 December the 12th.
There you go.
Well, then I'll say it again. How are you doing this, brother? You look great.
Yep.
I don't know, I don't think there's a rule. There are no rules. I mean, there's nothing that can stop you from pursuing whatever you want to pursue and continuing, whatever you have already done, and even in my case, again, after I stopped for a while, it was all friggin' shitty and downhill, and then finally 2 years ago, I met my wife, and, she was kind of like, you should really get back into this thing. And I'm all like,
Right.
So I kind of, I embraced it and got back to my old roots because I was training very hard. I like that whole bodybuilding routine and kill yourself in the gym. I work out twice a day, and do what I need to do in order to feel even in here, So that's pretty much how that whole thing works. And I can also say that Just for Men works beautiful.
Yeah. Well, but I got to say another thing, too, dude. Listen.
All right.
I got to be honest about this, too. I'm getting tired of you wrestlers, man. You guys always, no matter how old you are, pull the hot women. Your wife, we met at the big event. Beautiful lady. Congratulations, dude. You got it all going on, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's, it's all good. And thank you so much because, after all this, she's going to beat me up a little bit less than she usually does.
Why don't we start at the beginning? Let's talk about your career. How on earth do you wind up becoming a pro wrestler? And by the way, I'm glad you're getting your toes back in the water because I never forgot you from back in the day. You had like nuclear heat when I was watching ECW. How does it all start for you with wrestling?
Well, it's like the late 60s. And I'm living in London, England, my mom and dad. And my dad, he moved around a lot, and he moved us around quite a bit because, he was a diplomat, a bullshitter.
Okay.
So he worked for all these embassies, so we had the privilege of living here and there. And then in England, he discovered professional wrestling. Wow, this is cool. And how they do that, the rounds point, but they had gimmicks and everything.
Big Daddy?
Yeah, it was Big Daddy back in I'm talking like 68.
Even before Big Daddy. I got you. Okay.
68. I was I think 6 or something like that.
Right.
So it was like, 1968. So I'm watching all these and I'm like, wow, this would be really cool, but it was very entertaining. And then in 1977, my mother and I we moved to the United States, and I'm flipping through channels, and first night here, right, and in the States, in New York City, so channel 9, and it's horse racing. And then it says, World Wrestling Federation, wrestling, coming up. It was a 30-minute show, Worldwide Wrestling Federation, And I think it was obviously Spiro Sarian and Victor Rivera and Bob Eklund and Ken Patera. And I mean, all the legends, all the great ones. And I'm watching this and I'm like, damn, how can I get into this? And I'm like 14 years old now. So I found a way, I found some bootleg little wrestling school somewhere in Ridgewood, New York, where they had a decent ring, but they were all over the place, So I get there and I start learning or not learning, learning the wrong way, And it really wasn't until I got very serious in the 80s and then joined Johnny Rodz and Bobby Bold Eagle and really got serious into it. Everything else that came along with it was through fitness and bodybuilding, because I knew that I wasn't 6'5" and 260 pounds or whatever. So I had to have something to, compensate for that.
Was it easy to get to Johnny Rodz? Johnny Rodz we grew up with, and we definitely know how great Johnny Rodz is. We've had him on the show. Was it easy to get a hold of Johnny Rodz to get some more experience the proper way, or was it difficult?
No, I mean, it was not far from where I lived, but he was very straightforward as far as what it was going to be like, what it was going to cost. And I never told him that I had wrestling training experience before him, because I saw all those guys over there, and I'm like, you better not say, oh, I'm experienced, I can do this and that, because he'll put you in with those guys. You want to go in from the lower level and and advance. And I advanced quickly because, again, I knew my basics and all that kind of stuff. So it was easy to get to him, and it was easy to join his academy, the Unpredictable Academy of Professional Wrestling. For me, it came naturally because, like I said, I was pretty much prepared for it, and I was in, sports ever since I was 6 years old, especially like, combat style sports. So, and I had military experience. So.
We know you had a short stay in WWE, at least from what I've read, before you get to ECW. How do you get to ECW? Because that's really where Jason makes his mark, and the reason why we saw you at the big event, obviously, and the chair behind you, obviously. How do you get to ECW?
Yeah, Paul Heyman. Paul, I knew Paul from WCW, and we exchanged numbers and we knew each other. We hung out in New York City, and we became friends. And Paul always said to me, you got to do something more. There's got to be something more with you and all that. I see a lot more. And, I'm like, well, whatever, we'll work on that, And, he worked on it. And, it's really, I have Paul Heyman to thank for, what, what I'm today. Pretty much, he was taking over ECW. Eddie Gilbert, he was on his way out, and Paul. I remember, it was myself, and I believe Teddy and Johnny, maybe a couple of guys. I remember Teddy, Johnny, and myself. He called in, to Ultra Clash '93. And ironically enough, 4 months before that, I had a lower back surgery, a serious one, like a fusion, And I was ordered not to step back into ring for like a year and a half, maybe 2. But I'm like, oh no, I can't do that because here's Paul Heyman calling me, and Ultra Clash '93 was my first ECW event. And from there, everything just kind of exploded. He's actually the one that gave me the character, and pretty much he would tell me how he wanted me to present it, and he would give you that, rough cut that, the sheet, just read briefly and then, make it into your own. And then, like, all the things like the eyebrow, the hair, and then, the suits and all that. I was like, what about if I do this and that? And he said, yeah, I love it. I think you should go with it. And it's like the total opposite of me, But, I figured, let's go for it.
I mean, Heyman seems to be like a huge subject nowadays, how he's influenced other people's careers. A couple of things I want to discuss. Again, I know you're not watching wrestling, Jason, but considering where you've been and what you've done, I'm certainly don't think things have changed. So I want to read a few things I want you and Jimmy to kind of weigh in on. What's resurfaced recently on the Logan Paul podcast, they had Dominic Mysterio. I don't know if you know who he is. He's a very popular bad guy right now, son of Rey Mysterio. And he was right now working at the time during the podcast with a lady named Rhea Ripley, but he's also in real life married. And the question that was posed during this interview was basically asking Dominic if he had to choose between his work wife and his real wife, which one would he choose from? And he said, of course, he would choose his real wife. I was going to play the video, but unfortunately I screwed up a little bit. But here's my question. I'll start it off with you, Jason. Being in wrestling, I'm sure you've dated women on the outside, but then you have your things going, like you're working with these women full time. How hard is it for a wrestler to control themselves or separate their lives in this particular situation?
I think it depends on the individual. I mean, if you're a young single guy in the business, and if you have anything going for you, obviously, there's a lot of doors or legs that are going to be open.
Doors. Very, very politically correct on that one. Okay. Doors.
And of course, be that as it may, I mean, nature's nature,
Yeah.
However, I, as much, it's funny, as much as, excuse me, as much as, and I'll get right back to the subject.
No, stay with what you're talking about. You're good. Go ahead.
As much as people talk about, wrestling or let's say ECW or this one of the blah, blah, blah locker room, drug, blah, 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 blah. There's so much of this and that,
Yep.
That was a minority, believe it or not. Majority, the majority of performers, workers, wrestlers, valets, what have you, they were regular people, that did their job. They hung out. Some had a beer or two, and they left, But there, there's this single minority, that all of a sudden everything explodes into, oh, wow, the entire locker room. Well, that's the same thing about wrestlers, male wrestlers and women, female wrestlers and men, or wrestlers with the outside, the groupies or the fans, or the other way around. It's all, I don't know. It's random. You can't really specify. You can't put it in a box, because when you do, it's almost like. And I notice a lot of the guys, they like to brag about it. Like it's a big achievement. Well, I had so many rats and all that. Wow, really? Well, I've done so much coke and all that. Another round of applause. Like it's something to be proud of, nothing to be ashamed of. Unless you're in a situation, where you were completely putting your family behind in front of all that, and a lot of them have done that. But basically, I don't know. I mean, it happens. And it happened, but I think that speaking as far as the
Well,
majority.
Jason, if I could interrupt you real quick, I think it happens in regular life also.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yep.
but
Well,
being that this wrestling community is so bound up, but it's interesting that you said it's more of a minority that
yeah.
fool around with each other than the majority.
No, it really is. I mean, it's very few and far between. You know, I mean, as I see, most of the guys are married to women that are outside the business, and maybe the other way around. I don't know. I mean, I've never I never hounded girls in professional wrestling, just because she's in a business, and I'm this guy over here, I got to be the
Right.
Well,
Right.
I want to move this towards Jimmy, and Jason, I want you to weigh in. Jimmy, who recently married a former wrestler's wife, Miss Karen McDaniel. Jimmy, do you feel like being in the industry of wrestling, should a wrestler really be, or should maybe avoid getting married at some point until they're ready to settle in, or do you think it's just regular life?
Well, in regular life, what is the saying that we've always grown up hearing? Don't shit where you eat.
Yeah.
Okay, let me say that first. All right. To me, I think the reason why it's so talked about, I agree with Jason. I do believe that it is the minority, but because the internet loves to sensationalize, let's think about this for a second. The ones who have the reputation in the past of being quick to unzip their lip, if you know what I'm saying, would be some very, very top end rock star types, whether it's Ric Flair, whether it's Shawn Michaels.
Well, can I interrupt you there though, Jimmy, real quick?
Sure, but that's the point that I'm trying to make, though, is that the level of name is easier to sensationalize.
But I understand that. But let's talk in realities, right? Again, Jason's married now, different. But a good-looking guy like Jason, he's either married or dating someone at the point. He's with a very good-looking woman in wrestling. They're traveling together all the time because that's required in their job.
Right.
How do they avoid that situation from happening? Nature, as Jason said.
What's interesting is nowadays, instead of hearing some of the stories we've heard in the past, for the most part, it seems like they meet at work and they get married. If you're Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, they have a kid. I could name others that have done that. It's changed. I don't think it's as raunchy, probably behind the scenes, as it may have been back in the day. But again, that's the minority, like Jason was saying. I don't know if Jason has just gotten up to get a barbed wire bat to hit us with, but
probably had to step away for a second. But let me ask you this, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Okay, so say you're a wrestler, you're married.
Yeah.
Do you think you should avoid having children until you're sure that things are going to work out?
Well, what'd you get married for if you don't intend to have children with them?
Do you end up being an absentee father because you're traveling all the time and all of a sudden you're living the gimmick?
Well, if you're living the gimmick, we already have seen that happen with certain wrestlers. How's that work out for them? It doesn't. It does not work out. So do some of them go down that rock star path and make that mistake? Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. The musicians do it too all the time. All the time. I mean, hell, the pro athletes do it. How many kids? Is it Ocho Cinco? Who's the one that's got like 17 kids?
There's a bunch of them. But I think I guess my bigger point is like, isn't there a responsibility as the human being to be careful knowing what they're getting themselves? Listen, wrestling is not the normality of life, right? It's a circus rock star life, like a musician like yourself. Don't you think you have a moral standard to do things a little bit different than the norm? Jason, your thoughts?
Oh yeah, my thoughts. I just said, what you said, and I said, and then some. Circus, rock and roll, and then some. I mean, oh yeah, I mean it's absolutely something very unique. However, in the end of the day, we're human, and it depends. Some people really and it's interesting, because as you were saying, there's a lot of, especially like in the in the industry on the independent circuit, how many people truly believe that they are it, and it's like they knock around the three different oceans, almost like eight blocks of their neighborhood, and they're, that is what they are, and I'm truly this and that. Meanwhile, you're just some kid working at a gas station, which there's not.
But let me ask you this: you're a human being, right? You mentioned about the wrestlers, like, oh, you're screwing a bunch of raps, right? Applauding, but you're a human being, Jason. I'm sure at some point in your wrestling career, you probably could have had any woman coming in that arena at any moment. They were probably all over you, right?
Not any. I'm always kidding. No, not any, but yeah,
I mean, it's feeding your ego, right? How do you avoid your ego being fed like that?
That is the question.
Oh shit, let's see. How do you avoid it? Should I lie? No.
No lying here on Monte The Pharaoh.
And there's a time and a place for everything, and it's I think that I've seen more action, when I was just hanging out and working clubs back in the 80s in New York City, like the Palladium, the Limelight, the Tunnel, and what have you, and a lot more beautiful, classy women than I would have in professional wrestling. And I don't mean to insult anyone. However, it is, it's like, oh gosh, see, now I did. But you know what? I truly don't give a fuck, because look, you put yourself in a situation where you're going to be a wrestling fan, and then you're going to go ahead and try to date a guy and actually believe that this is your boyfriend that is going to be in town 4 times a year. You're putting yourself in that situation. And that's, to be perfectly honest. Therefore, as far as professional wrestling and what I have seen out there that would have been a great pick, I would have to say that, out of 100%, it's about 90-10. 90 as far as not, 10 as far as possibly. Because professional wrestling does attract some strange people such as us. We're willing to do what we do. And especially nowadays, I mean, come on, look at it. Look at what, look at all these different, is it feeds or whatever they call, where you see these guys and they're actually proud of what they do in the ring, going through glass, going through nails, going through putting their bodies,
lighting themselves on fire, right?
The fire, stuff like that, for absolutely nothing. Probably no money at all. Well, no money at all because it's in somebody's backyard, and that's
feeding the ego, Jason. Going back to my question, right? It's like, hey, I got 1,000 views. You're feeding my ego.
And for me, if you're one of them that supports something like that, and you feel that you scored because you're dating that particular professional wrestler, well, in that case, I'm sorry, you're just as far as it's, again, it's not the same as like, the film industry and all that. It's professional wrestling. I mean, come on, I mean, I know, right now it's a little more glamorized, and there's a little more glamour and, more lights and action and this and that, but then again, the performers don't travel as much as we did back in the day. They pretty much have their set dates. Right now I don't think there are even locker rooms, right? For the big promotions, they change their buses and
well, totally different industry what you started with, Jason, what you worked at.
So, I mean, it's I know it sounds weird what I'm saying, but it's I don't know. I don't think it's such a great achievement, Again, so I've been with so many women, so many rats and whatever, as some claim. Again,
I love it, Jason. I'm gonna jump to another subject as it gets a little tougher. Jimmy, you'll weigh in first, then we'll get Jason. Recently, Mercedes Mone, former Sasha Banks, made a video in regards to a fan calling AEW a downgrade, and where she says she's richer than she's ever fucking been. I'm going to play the video, Jimmy weigh in, and of course, Jason, I know he's not watching, but he certainly understands the fact when people think they're better than they are. Want to play the video, Abe?
I saw someone say, downgrade has to be steady. Bitch, I am richer than I've ever fucking been, putting on the greatest matches that I've ever had. So should the...
I feel like Ray Charles.
I hate stupid people.
There's no sound?
I don't even
I'm living my best life. The greatest life ever. It's an upgrade, baby. Because I went forward and I didn't go back. It's the best feeling ever to be rich in spirit, rich in your bank account, and just rich in life.
Jimmy, thoughts on that?
Well, I wasn't able to see it live just now. I don't know if Jason was either, but I will say that I have seen it. And let me put it this way. Wrestling fans, especially today, I don't know how this is going to come across, but are smarter than ever. All right, as far as, what they know about the business and what they've read about the business, and they get all this plethora of information. I will tell you that some things never change. And coming from a fan, you arrogant bitch, who the hell are you to think that I'm ever going to want to watch another match from you when a fan who has a right to their opinion, they pay for the ticket to watch you perform in the first place. Probably this fan was a fan of hers during her somewhat legendary run in WWE before she went to AEW. It is a downgrade to her career as a wrestling fan, as I watch her be Mercedes Mone instead of Sasha Banks. This is my opinion as a wrestling fan. And when a fan has the right to state their opinion, you respond to them with, I am richer than I have ever fucking been. And then you say, bitch, I am richer than I've ever been. Repeat. Putting on the greatest matches that I've ever had. Talk about pissing in the face of Charlotte Flair and Bayley and Becky Lynch, where she made her legend. What were they? The 4 horsewomen, for God's sakes, they were calling them, while they were changing the women's wrestling as we know it today. Now, I know Jason has missed a lot of this stuff, but this is the truth. This is what happened. Okay? So for her to have a selective memory, I don't give 2 shits as a fan about your bank account. That turns me off. I don't want to hear about how rich you are. All right? I want to know whether or not you're entertaining me, which is what Jason and ECW always did for me. They never announced what they made or what they didn't make. It's none of my fucking business as a fan, because I was raised in a generation where I don't want to know anyway. I just want to enjoy watching what you do, because you do it well. So for her to make this sort of public statement, fuck you. That's my opinion. You want to call me unprofessional? Get ready, keyboard trolls, to sprain your fucking fingers.
Jason,
fuck off,
$5 million. $5 million to be a professional wrestler. Did you ever think that would ever happen?
Maybe when I was a kid, and I thought that, wrestlers made that kind of money, but then, I came to a quick realization that it wasn't so. I mean, it's, no. I mean, Yeah.
Would you ever talk to the fans in that sort of fashion?
No, never. Are you kidding me? You know, I mean, you know, I have the utmost respect for wrestling fans, you know, spectators. I mean, without them, you know, it's like we might as well just be cosplayers. You know, that's pretty much what I call these indie idiots, you know, out there that do what they do, you know, putting their bodies on the line.
Jimmy, I'm loving myself some Jason Knight right now. Jason, it's gonna get a little.
Absolutely.
It's gonna get a little tougher, right? I'm gonna state a case. You're an old school wrestling guy. You're gonna tell me how you feel, and it's all good. This is just three men discussing their thoughts, and whether they agree or not, just like politics, you respectfully discuss it. So I'm gonna give you mine and Jimmy's side of it, and I'm gonna ask you to weigh in. So, one of our big bones of contention, at least in the last 3 months of this show, was Mario Mancini, who is a regular on a lot of podcasts. And Mario not recently, or over the last year or so, has been very vocal about Vince McMahon and the issues Mr. McMahon has had. He also has a partner, Paul Roma, which we affectionately call the two together as wrestling's biggest rockheads. But the issue that we have here, Jason, and I'll let Jimmy elaborate a little more, is that Mario has a lot to say about Vince McMahon and all the issues that he's had, but Mario and Paul Roma were around during the Ring Boy scandals, the Rita Charlton accusations, and at the time when they were wrestling, they had literally, and I mean literally, nothing to say. But now with the age of social media and 25 years later and the protection of computers and keyboards, they feel like they have the right to say whatever they want. Jimmy, you'll elaborate after I finish this comment. I believe Jimmy feels the same as I do, that Paul Roma and Mario Mancini are just as guilty as anybody else that was involved if these atrocities did take place, which we don't know if they did. And they should also be held accountable. Jimmy?
Well, I guess basically what we're trying to say, Jason, is that it's the saying that unfortunately, you know, coming from New York and witnessing 9/11, if you see something, say something.
Yeah.
So I guess our basic beef of contention is you had an opportunity in the late 80s when a friend comes to you, which was this woman referee, and tells Mario Mancini that Vince McMahon raped me, you know, or attempted to rape me. You know, these are all allegations. Vince has never been put to a trial for this. Vince has never been put in handcuffs for this. Let me get that out of the way, you know. But all these years later, you know, he notices he's catching maybe a little wind by doing podcasting, because during his career, he was talent enhancement. And let's just say he was not RVD. He wasn't The Undertaker. So here he is now with his 5 minutes of fame, and we had the nerve to just ask a simple question. Why didn't you say something when it mattered? Why are you saying it now? So instead of giving us either a polite decline to answer the question, which we would have accepted, because we do believe everybody's got their side of a story. Instead of giving us a polite decline, he decided to start name calling. And then I've got Paul Roma, who I don't know from a hole in the wall, threatening us that if I was ever in a locked room with these two guys, blah, 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 blah. You know, I mean, we're just fans asking a legitimate question. What is your take on a wrestler if he sees something that horrible, or whether it was the Ring Boy scandal, or whether it was the steroid distribution where Hulk Hogan had to go to trial to defend Vince McMahon? If you see something wrong, shouldn't you say something?
Can I add this one thing before Jason answers? I know this is a lot to absorb, Jason. The other thing is, if you decided not to say something, why do you feel you have the right to say something 24 years later?
Exactly.
You know, touchy, you know, touchy, because I think that as a performer, I can say that we have all been in situations where we wanted to, and it's always like, keep your mouth shut, your ears closed, that type of thing. Kid, don't ask questions, blah, 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 follow my lead, That's exactly what it is. And at that time, everybody thinks that, if I do the right thing and if I do this and that, and if I follow that lead, I stand a chance, because this is what I want to do. I want to sign that contract. I want to be this, that's exactly what it is, Now, what happens is that you have this high opinion of yourself, such, let's say, in Paul Roma's case, for a good reason. He was a hell of a talent, hell of a worker, a great-looking guy, and for whatever reason, it didn't work out. I mean, it just didn't, Mary Mancini, great hand. That's about it. All right, moving forward. All that left behind. Now look at what I did. I shut my mouth. I fucking did what I was told. I minded my own business. I worked hard. I wanted it so bad, and it got me nowhere. Now I'm 50, 60, whatever years old, I still have that bug up my ass, that stick up my ass is still poking me, And now there's this thing called the internet, I'm just going to expose what I know. Because I didn't get what I want, And again, no disrespect to anyone. And quite frankly, I don't give a fuck, But it's like, I'm going to cry now because I didn't get what I wanted, I got spanked on hey, such is life. Fuck, man, a lot of us didn't, life ain't fair, especially in pro wrestling. I mean, I've seen the men and women persevere where I thought I should have been. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Whatever the fuck, But like now coming out, and it's almost like, oh, you wait. I got this fucking bullet saved up for you, and it's got your name written on it, and it's from 1980, and now I'm going to shoot it at you because you didn't give me what I wanted. You didn't give me what I worked hard for. And yes, they worked hard, Paul more than the other guy, because the other guy, again, a good hand.
Jason, I think we're going to use that name. The other guy he'll be
that
known
works.
as. Thank you for that, but go ahead.
That works.
No, Mario, no, great, great, good hand. Paul was an athlete. Mario was not an athlete. He was a good hand, good enhancement hand, big guy that you could toss around and everything. I don't know how ever he thought that he would become this freaking superstar. Like, I think it's him that I saw his interview. Like, well, I should have been the superstar and all that. And they said, I mean, how? I mean, honestly, be honest with yourself. How in the world is a Jason Knight, and I'm putting myself in this, going to go to Giant Baba and say, that fucking Stan Hansen, he is whatever, put me in a match with him and let's, go hand to hand and, I can do this and that. I mean, you're in the world of the friggin' giants, you're in the world of gods. And again, here's Paul Roma, he was a god, looks wise, work wise, and everything. So I put them in different categories. Now, if they, want to support each other, that's great. I think the camaraderie is wonderful. Again, I applaud you, and I don't mean by silliness or trying to be a funny guy. Great, you guys, you go for it. But here's a guy, and here's Paul Roma. Paul Roma that had the it factor. There was something missing. I don't know. And it's probably, more than likely the office was wrong.
Or Jason, he could have went to the Wizard of Oz and requested a brain. Either one, I'll go with either which way you go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm, 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 I'm,
You're
I'm
gonna
living
make me start
I'm,
singing, Mike. Don't make me sing if I only had a brain. Please don't do that. Go
I'm
ahead, Jay.
speaking from here, that you have an athlete, and then you have a good hand,
Right.
and
Right.
literally thinks that, and I heard him in an interview. I heard him saying that, and I'm bugging him like, when are you going to give me this big break and everything? What big break? What do you want to, put Kempateri in a full Nelson and swing him around instead of the other way around? That ain't never going to happen. But you see, some people live on another planet. So whatever the fuck, it's like, please, just fucking give it a break. And again, I'm going to cry and I'm going to pout and, I'm going to be angry because they didn't give me what I wanted, what I worked hard for, and what I wanted, and other guys.
And then I'll destroy someone else's relationship with my stories, right?
It's not going to happen. Destroy what? I mean, destroy what?
It's a good point, Jason. You're right. Destroy what?
So many stories. I've heard so many. Oh, you better watch out, this and that, and you know what else I've been accused of? Oh, yeah, you knew Pat Patterson, so this and that. I spoke maybe 30 sentences to Pat Patterson on 3 different occasions. Get dressed, men on a mission, you're working them, and are you ready for your match? But everyone demonizes him for doing this and doing that and blah, 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 blah. I mean, he wanted me here and he said slim but none and everything. And it's all these fucking guys, that look like that they should be working at a fucking gas station, not wearing a wrestling ring gear, I mean, to be honest with you, it's like, let's separate, athletes from even good hands. Let's let's like separate it, because I can't even put Roma in that thing, because he had something. He had it. There was something missing. Could have been him, or it could have been the office just don't liking him, or it could have been them just missing him and going to another guy. Well, fuck it, it happens. Okay, I mean, I was the guy that would go out there, because Paul gave me that persona, and he said, I want you to take this kid, Mikey Whipwreck, and make him into a fucking superstar. And I said, thank you so much. And I would love to do it, because I saw the big picture, and I saw, I saw the, what the industry is. It's fucking show business. I mean, this is what we need to do. We need to work with each other, not against each other,
Yeah.
Because, I didn't get what I want. Well, fuck you. I didn't get what I wanted, And guess what? I'm still here, and I'm ready to fucking move on at 61.
Love it,
There you
Jason.
go.
I mean,
And the program with Mikey worked out. If I'm not mistaken, that was the ECW Television Championship.
I wish that, Mikey and I were married for the longest time. And then when Meanie came along,
Right.
and Paul was like, oh, just let him pin you like that. I said, no, let him hit the moonsault. Are you sure? I said, fuck yeah, let him hit the moonsault. Let the man hit the moonsault. Let him pin in the middle of the ring. I mean, all this. Same thing I did with Jazz, with anybody, because it's fucking show business. It is what we do. It is, and you know what? The better you look, the better you look.
True. True.
It's like, it's easy to go out there and say, give me that, that fucking amiibo over there, so I can beat him in 30 seconds and bounce him around, instead of saying, let me have that fucking guy over there, that oiled up son of a bitch that looks like $1 million, and let him persevere. And then finally, I get that. It makes you look better. I mean, that's just right. Because
Jason, I don't mean to paint a broad picture though, but to get back to Mancini not speaking about these certain allegations when they happened, it seems to me that at the end of the day, he really should just come out and say, but he knows it would make him look bad, that I was just protecting my own interests.
Like,
you know, if he goes up against Vince McMahon, he's probably fucked.
I mean, you know what? Does Vince even know he exists anymore?
Probably not.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a legitimate point. Does Vince even know the dude exists?
I'm sorry, Mike. I also find the timing ironic because Vince has now been, out of the WWE and he's basically on death's door. So now it's time to talk shit.
Listen, you got to forgive me one more second because, I take my water pills. I'll be right back.
No problem.
Yes, sir.
No, Jimmy, it's a good point, but my point also, I think, is now I kind of lost my point. I'm going to go with Jason says. They weren't happy where their career won, so this is their retribution, right? This is what they want.
Right.
Jimmy, let's talk about this then, right? Lee Cole, who, has wrestling with the devil. We've had Lee on the show. He's a friend of the show. But you know what? I honestly think that you and I both have journalistic integrity, which I'm not so sure that Lee has. And I have no problem making that statement. Lee recently came on his show, and he discussed about Johnny Rods. And again, like Lee does, he said that Johnny has dementia and that he's not doing well, which could not be farther from the truth, by the way. Okay?
All right.
That's problem one. Number two, just recently he had Paul Roma and Mario Mancini on his show.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Now, Lee, his show is based on defending his brother in the Ring Boy scandal.
Sure.
And that his brother lost his life over that. And that's what his show has a basis on. So now you talk about Johnny Rods having dementia, which we said is not true.
Yeah, really.
That's what he's saying, Jason. But then the next thing is he has Mancini and Roma on there, and not one time does he ask either one of them, where were you when my brother was supposedly being mishandled? Jimmy, Jason, you want to weigh on this? Jimmy?
Yeah.
Well, Jason's there, but he's probably digesting the fucking portion of the program. Go ahead, Jason.
I need to excavate it and, completely, and, oh my gosh, it's like, right now it's excavated and, wow. Again, it's that same thing. You're right about timing. It's all that good timing when certain people can defend themselves, and when you have your 5 minutes of glory on the internet, and you're talking shit, and Johnny Rods has dementia. Wow, he's about the sharpest knife I have in that drawer right there. And it's just like, damn, what has it turned into? And we're talking about the shit that happened, 40, 50 years ago, some of it?
Yeah, some
Long
of it's
enough,
getting to 40 years, 35 years ago. Okay. We're talking decades and decades. We're talking Reagan in the White House. We're talking Bush Sr. in the White House. It's a long time ago.
Yeah, it's like time for fucking dispose of them, flush the toilet already, It's if it hasn't been and it's the same shit, that you hear over and over and over again. It's almost like asking someone, oh, so is wrestling fake? Do you do that fake shit? And what are you gonna do? Slap somebody over and over again? It's been the man did what he had to do, Now we're all, follow his footsteps. I mean, it is what it is. It's all been exposed.
Yeah, but
I mean,
let me ask you this, Jason, right? Everybody's got a podcast now. Everyone has a podcast. Shouldn't there be journalistic integrity? I mean, look, you're an ECW superstar. Obviously, I'm interviewing you, Jimmy's interview. We could be nervous. Wow, this guy's this guy that we loved watching. He's this hero, blah, blah, blah. But where's the journalistic integrity to challenge another human being about what they've done in their life if you're going to have this type of show?
I guess that's something that, if they ever took classes for, they missed the class. How do you spell that? No, it's it's all. I think it's all kind of like let's just be a bunch of whores, but pretend to be virgins.
Wow.
Nicely said. Nicely said.
I'm copywriting that. All right, Jason,
beautiful.
It's time for the Pharaoh's final question. Again, we want to thank you for coming in on a Friday night. We want to wish everybody a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas. Jason, we want to wish you a Merry Christmas. Pharaoh's final question.
And Desiree, too.
Yeah,
Thank
Desiree, too.
Absolutely.
I just heard her.
Yeah. Okay. I've seen you in person recently. I've had the pleasure to see you briefly in person, and now we've had the pleasure to talk to you for the last hour or so. And I got to be honest, I'm feeling like I got to ask this: does Jason have one more run in him? Any chance? I know you haven't been watching wrestling for a long time, but I get the feeling that you could step back into a ring like riding a bicycle. Is there one more run left in Jason?
Well, riding a bicycle, I'll probably, it's kind of like riding, falling off, getting back up and all that. Oh, yeah.
Right.
I can always inflate that flat tire. And, definitely. I'm planning on it because, I have this thing, and especially, I just want to say quickly, I support my brothers like Billy Gunn. I don't even know him, I support him because of what he does at his age. We're all in the 60s. Steve Austin and Al Snow and, whoever I missed, Jerry Lynn. That, we're still planning to come back and do our thing. Yes, I am. Very much.
WrestleMania weekend. You went back WrestleMania weekend.
And of course, I went back WrestleMania weekend, with Alvin, kept the match short because, I was injured. I had a hernia exploded,
Oof.
Well, I still did what I needed to do and, had my surgery and everything. And yes, now at 61, I'm coming back. I want to, one hell of a run, and, I train every day, twice a day. And, that's what I'm going to do. And reopen my wrestling school in New Jersey and start teaching right way, just absolutely love the industry. And of course, I'm going to have my fitness show.
Nice.
Coming.
Nice.
That's what I do as well, so thank you so much, guys, for having me here.
Well, it's an honor to have you here. And once again, Merry Christmas. And thank you for what you've done for the fans and for professional wrestling, Jason.
Of course. And thank you all for everything that I, for who I am today.
Love it. All right, Jason.
EC Dub, baby. EC Dub, baby. That's all I know.
Jimmy.
Yeah.
Great Jason night.
That was great.
For two very honest people, two shows back to back. What do you think?
Back to back and belly to belly, like John Sterling would say. That's two of them, two of them over the wall, over the fence.
I
That's a
gotta
four-bagger.
tell you on a personal basis, Jimmy, when people answer as honestly, whether I agree with them or they agree with me, doesn't matter. I love when people just are honest about their feelings. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Nothing beats it, you know? I mean, that's what we're looking for anyway. We're looking for beyond the wrestler. We're looking for, of course, we're looking for the wrestler, but we're looking for the person, you know? And that's what we got twice tonight. That's what we do. So, like I said, back to back and belly to belly. That was freaking fantastic. And it looks like Jason's coming back.
That was a great final question because I got to tell you, when I finally met the man in New York, the guy was a friggin' beast, dude.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Crazy beast.
You know what? And if he says he's got that fitness show, I think we both better tune in.
Dude, but wait a minute. But think about that, dude. Like, I literally thought he was 8 years younger than us. I'm not kidding. I was like,
right.
And when he said 50, like 61, I thought he said 50 because I was like,
right.
And then you said, no, Mike, 61. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
man.
I know. No, doesn't look it at all.
Embarrassing.
Doesn't look it at all.
All right, Jimmy.
Well, you could be embarrassed. I still look like, you know, I'm okay.
Jimmy, send us out. Just so you know, Dylan Hines was going to come on for about 5 minutes to discuss a problem with Matt Riddle. He booked Matt Riddle and just really accused. He accused Matt Riddle of stealing $2,000 from him.
Ouch.
Oh, that's. Oy. Really?
Yeah.
I thought Matt was getting it together. What the hell is going on there?
Well, again,
I don't know.
Again, with this, we don't ever know the truth.
I don't
right?
know. Yeah, I have no idea.
All right. You want to send us out, big guy? And Merry Christmas to you, Jimmy. Merry Christmas to the Monte The Pharaoh family. If I could give you some quick shout-outs. ESO Creative out of Texas. God bless you. Merry Christmas. I'm wishing you the happiest of holidays. Who else we got? Jason Morning. Happy holidays, sir. Benny Scala, the player.
Benny.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Absolutely.
A mess in the house. A mess. I love seeing you, man.
A mess is back.
Good stuff, man. He's a big fan of Tessa Blanchard. I wish you 10 autographs from Tessa Blanchard, mess. Phil DeCesare, who sent me a picture of him along with the great Jason Knight. Phil's arms are fucking... Dude, crazy. RJ Hudson, Merry Christmas, sir.
Mr. President, RJ.
I do not. Jay Will in the house. Jay, Merry Christmas, my buddy. I don't see Miss Maria Davis, but if she watches the video,
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Absolutely.
Am I missing anybody? I'm going through the list. Jason, I said Merry Christmas. Anybody else? No. So with that being said, I want to wish you, Jimmy, a very Merry Christmas to you and your beautiful bride, Miss Karen McDaniel. I want to wish Jason Knight and his beautiful wife a Merry Christmas. Jimmy, send us out.
You've been watching Monte and the Pharaoh. And until next time, Merry Christmas and later.